progress. Got a meeting set up with somebody from education. See if I can help out in some sort of school stuff that's going on.
How did your meeting with the Lord Mayor go?
That was brilliant. Yeah, it was really nice. Really nice. We had coffee and biscuits in his chambers.
What do mayoral biscuits taste like?
Like very posh biscuits.
I don't even know what a posh biscuit would be like. Is it an Oreo?
Kind of, well, I don't know. For posh biscuits, I would say like Fox's biscuits, not like cheap nasty biscuits. Proper Fox's one. Do you get Fox's biscuits in the US?
Nope. We don't even call our cookies biscuits. So I think there is something I need to explore. I learned when I was in Amsterdam that there is a train that goes from the Netherlands to London now. And I should have taken it because I've never been to England. I've never once set foot on the United Kingdom.
It rains a lot. It's raining now.
I love the rain.
I won't get your hopes up too much.
Rain is beautiful. I used to live in Washington.
It was sunny yesterday and it's raining today. So.
Oh yeah. Do you still have snow on the ground?
No, we had last week was a crazy snow week, and then it rained one day and it just cleared all of a sudden, and that were it. So
I have no clue I'm doing it. We had a horrible storm. We have trees down still, and people are having their roofs repaired. It was really brutal. It was brutal. What am I doing? I am having a hard time concentrating here. We haven't even started yet.
Okay.
Oh, there I am. Okay. Timer. All right. So you requested an origin. How come?
Just more of it. Are you recording? Because I don't want to.
Well, you know how I do. I just record because I'll forget later on. I mean, we'll start at the most natural places always.
Yeah, well, I've got a new website. I've got new products out, new planners. Got a couple of events and stuff planned and just kind of progress. So I've got a good 5-star review, recommended read. So some just updates and stuff, really.
Now, I'm very curious about your imprint, how things worked out, or how things are working.
Everything's going as planned. It's taken a little bit longer than I expected. I didn't realise that when you buy your own ISBN numbers, you have to register an address with those ISBN numbers. So the address is public. So obviously I didn't want everybody in the world knowing where I lived. So I had to buy a PO box, which I've had for a couple of months now. And the PO box then got registered to the ISBN numbers. And then the ISBN numbers get registered to the book that you create. So I had to re-release all 3 of my paperbacks. So I started with Pandora, then did Noah, and my Aeon book is just about ready to go. But nothing moves quickly. It's more stressful just for the wait than anything. So the imprint itself is doing really well. Like the books have turned out fantastic. The quality is really good. The logos are looking good. The website's all updated, but as far as like the publishing to Amazon goes, it just takes forever. And then you have to log on for access to Nielsen to edit the information that you want bookshops to see, and it just takes weeks and weeks. So that's the thing that's holding me back at the moment, but everything else is going fine.
Sam is gaming in the background, isn't he?
Yeah, can you hear him typing?
Yeah, I can. So what was the intention of getting your own ISBNs?
I think I wanted to own the books. I know that technically you are still the publisher when you use a CreateSpace ISBN, but the whole point of me getting into my own publishing company was to get into bookstores in the UK. And to do that, you kind of need your own ISBN numbers, and you need your own company really, because businesses like Waterstones and Barnes and Noble won't really stock Amazon books because they're effectively giving money to a competitor. So it wouldn't make sense for them to buy books from Amazon and give all their money from Amazon to stock them. And you can't return them. So if they don't sell, the bookstores can't return them. They won't get a decent enough discount to order them. So there's all the logistics of it are really, once you get into it, there's so many things that hold you back from bookstores when you're independently published.
So if you have your own... You were in independent bookstores for a little while.
I'm still in some independent bookstores, yeah. They're still stocking my previous books, so not my Curious Cat imprint ones yet, because I'm waiting for my stock. But they've still got some of the old editions in, and they're still selling fine. So I'm pleased to be in indie bookstores, and I'll still be in indie bookstores. I'm still going to push for indie bookstores, but I want to aim for places like Waterstones and hopefully Barnes and Noble in the US, and some other ones. So I needed to not mask the fact that I'm independently published, because it's never an issue for me. I'm not bothered that I'm independently published. I'm quite proud of the fact that I do it myself, but I want to make sure that it's under my own company and that the ISBNs are owned by me and by my company. I think it's just a little bit more professional, and I think the bookstores appreciate that professionalism a little bit more. So
are you just are you betting on the fact that physical bookstores are going to remain a constant in our lives?
I don't think that ebooks are ever going to. I don't think ebooks are going to destroy physical bookstores, so I don't think I've got anything to worry about there.
I don't know. I haven't bought a physical book in so long. Reddit does a Secret Santa, and every Secret Santa I get like 2 or 3 books, physical books. I never read them. I'm always on my phone. Just have my library right there. I love it so much.
I must admit, I do sell more ebooks than I do paperbacks, but I don't know. There's just something about holding a paperback or a hardback. The only thing I'm not doing is hardbacks, not for these books that are already out anyway, because they don't sell as often. And to be honest, a lot of the people that buy off me never ever request hardbacks. They always want the paperback.
They want those. What do they call them? They have a specific name. Oh, they're not like paperbacks though. They're
trade paperbacks.
Trade paperbacks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're the best way to read.
They want to pay as little as possible and get the same book. So just so that I can keep my costs down and they don't have to pay a fortune, and I don't have to pay a fortune to get it done. The paperbacks make more sense for me. I like to have hardbacks for display, but when you have your own ISBN, each book, each format that you provide needs a new ISBN number. So it will eat through my ISBNs that I bought, and I just don't think they'll sell. So there's not much point.
It's very interesting because while you're talking, I'm thinking about Hugh Howey and Wool and how he's kind of a blended author, but he doesn't own the print version of his books.
No, but he did originally.
He did originally.
Yeah, I think he did basically what I'm doing. He bought his own ISBN numbers and assigned them to his books and started that way and sold them independently through Amazon and the other channels, and then got picked up by a publisher. So I think he started with his own ISBNs and then did effectively what I'm doing and attempting to sort of break into other channels.
Is it harder, you think, to get to that point going through Amazon, or will it matter?
I don't think it'll matter. I think it's hard whichever way you do it. It's hard at the moment because it just takes so long. Everything takes so long. So, for example, I published Finding Pandora and I had to then wait for Amazon to upload it, to make it available. So I waited about a week for it to show, and then it showed, but it didn't have the image. It just had the details of the book and the details of the old paperback book on there as well. So that took a while. Then they updated the picture. Then they finally merged them together, and now Pandora is perfectly fine. But it took about 2 weeks for the whole process. So everything.
They were giving you a hard time, weren't they? They weren't being very easy. They haven't been very easy from the beginning of this whole process.
No, I think it's because I moved from CreateSpace, which is an Amazon company, to Ingram Spark, which is not an Amazon company. So nothing works as quickly as obviously Amazon's own company would work faster, because it's their own channel. But Ingram Spark works, it should work the same way, but it doesn't. If you publish with Ingram Spark and publish a paperback on their website, on Amazon's website, they won't show it in stock. And when I queried it with them, they advised me that it was because they were waiting for demand on the book. But the only problem is the book shows out of stock.
It's so
it shows out of stock and then says, we don't know if we're getting this book back in. So nobody in their right mind is ever going to order a book that they think they're never going to get.
It suggests that it's worthless to even try to buy it. There's nothing quality there anyway. I mean, there's you want stock. You want somebody to go, oh, okay, this is easy to get.
So I put that question to them and said, don't you think that's a little bit backwards? And never got a reply. So that was inspiring. So I then decided that I knew a couple of people that actually wanted to buy the book anyway. So I advised them of this problem I was having, and I think the problem's been solved that way. So a couple of people have thankfully ordered the book and it is getting going, but they're likely to be people that I know that have done it knowing that I'm having all these problems. And now it's showing in stock, but it's showing in stock with only one left. it shows like order now, we only have one left. So it is showing in stock, and it did work, but it took a while and it was a pain in the bum.
So there's not just one in stock though. I mean, it's your stock.
No.
You send the books out.
I don't send the books out. No, it's still print on demand. It's still Ingram
Oh, it
Spark that
is.
do my
Okay.
distribution. Yeah. If you buy through my website, it's a whole different game. It's me that deals with that. But if you buy through Amazon, Ingram Spark then fulfill the order and send the book out. But the first order that obviously went in took a couple of weeks, because you get an email that says, "Thanks for ordering this book. We'll let you know if it comes back in. You haven't been charged." So my readers were getting this email saying, "Thanks for ordering it, but we don't even know if we're going to get it." And then they were getting an email 2 or 3 weeks later saying, "We are getting it. It'll be about 2 weeks for delivery. You'll be charged when we dispatch it." And then they got an email to say dispatched. So to actually get it to show in stock, it's taken a couple of weeks and a long wait on my reader's part to actually get Amazon to stock the book, technically. I mean, even though it's print on demand and it's in stock all the time. I think it's something to do with how often Amazon communicate with Ingram Spark at the beginning. And if there's a higher demand for the book, they put in orders more often. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the name of the game is to get readers. And is this helping you get readers? Is this helping people find you? Is it helping people discover your work?
It's maybe a little bit more than they did, purely because it looks more professional now. It feels more professional. There's a publishing company behind the books. It's my company. I own it. I am the publishing company. So the work behind publishing the books hasn't really changed. It is a little bit harder with Ingram Spark, I must admit, because their specifications for cover design and the actual PDF file and all the colours that are involved in it have to be in a certain format. So it can be quite fiddly, and it's more expensive to publish with Ingram Spark. But it's worth it, I think, because the books are of an extremely high quality when they arrive. And they put you in all the catalogues for bookstores. So now, once Nielsen's all updated and like Amazon and Waterstones and everybody have got me listed on the websites, which it is slowly happening, thankfully, then I can start to approach the actual distributors like Waterstones and talk to them about stocking books in store. So that'll be quite exciting. But it's just taking a lot of time.
I'm on I'm on .com right now, looking at your author page.
My new website.
Yeah, I love the cover for Aeon Infinitum.
Oh, thank you.
How do you say it? Infinitum?
Aeon Infinitum.
Yeah, I'm not Latin. I'm not going to do it. I'm joking. No, it's beautiful. I love your cover. And scanning down 270 pages. Publishers, Curious Cat Publishers. And let's see what happens if I try to buy. Buy now with one click. I guess that's the electronic version, though. Paperback.
It depends which book you've clicked on. Which
available ships available in 1 to 2 days.
Yeah. So that'll be Amazon, I think, that you're on.
Amazon, yep.
Yeah, so if you were to buy the book through Amazon now, you'd probably get an email that says it'll be about like a week or 2. And then once it'll be probably quicker than that now than it was before. But thankfully, they are starting to communicate more with Ingram Spark. And now that there's a demand for the book and people are actually ordering it, trusting that they'll get it. So my readers must be loyal if they are actually.
And you're $5 cheaper than what you would be if I went through CreateSpace. No.
The books, thankfully, to order my own stock. So for a book signing with Ingram Spark, I've found that they have printers in the UK. So it is actually cheaper for me to get my own books here than it would be with CreateSpace, because they ship from the US. So the shipping's ridiculous. The shipping was actually more than the print of the book.
Tell me about it. I went on, tried UPS or something along those lines to figure out how much it would cost to get my newest novel to you to read. And it was like $50 to send the dumb thing. Like, no.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I think it's cheaper for me to get my own books here. And the good thing about Ingram is that they print in various countries. So I'm hoping that helps to keep the cost of postage down for my readers. But I believe that Amazon also offer Prime, and it may apply to my book. I haven't checked recently, but I'm sure that Prime was available last time I saw it. So actually, if they pay for Amazon Prime, they probably won't have to pay for postage anyway once the book is being dispatched as normal. But if it shows Prime, it should be dispatched quickly. So hopefully.
I don't know. It says 1 or 2 days for me on .com, which is not .uk. And I'm not on Prime. Olivia's on Prime, not me.
1 to 2 days isn't bad. That's pretty good considering before it was like 1 to 2 weeks. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely communicating.
You know what I heard recently is you can game Amazon by publishing many times within a year. It looks like you're more popular or something along those lines. Have you heard about that?
I haven't, no, but I suppose it makes sense because it goes back to the demand. You know, if you're popular and people are ordering from you, it makes better sense for Amazon to list you.
I'm saying, like, if say I put Compounded, my first novel, up on Amazon, and then a couple months later I publish a collection of short stories, and then my second novel, and then another collection of short stories. For some reason, the Amazon algorithm will put my name up higher on fantasy and science fiction or speculative fiction. They'll just show my name higher in the list of popular.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll just be because you're more prolific than some of the other authors. Like, you've got more to offer. So if people buy one of your first books and they like it, they've got more options. So it would make Amazon more money to sell your books, because if they're good, people will come back and buy more. Whereas if you only had one book, they can't go back and spend more money. So it would make sense for them to recommend you over somebody with only one book.
Have you noticed kind of because you're kind of doing that now. You pulled all of your books off, right? And then putting them back on Amazon, or no?
I did. And the interesting thing about that was I also wanted to update the ebook version. So I wanted the new cover, the new version, you know, all the publisher's details on the inside cover, blah, blah, blah. And that took a while. But when I took it down off of the other distributors, so Barnes and Noble, Nook, Kobo, all of the other ones that I have up, Apple, Amazon went, oh, right, so we have nothing to compare this to now, so we're going to start charging for it, because the first book was supposed to be free.
Yeah.
So they then said, oh, well, now there's nothing else, there's nobody else selling it for free, so they just took it upon themselves to automatically start charging for it. So without going through the whole trying to get it permanently free again, I now don't have a perma free book available. But I've been giving that book away for a year, like nearly over a year now. So I think everybody that was going to get it for free has got it. And then I'm probably reading through and waiting for new stuff. So it wasn't dreadful, but I didn't realize that they would do that until I logged on and thought, why are they charging 99p for it? 99 cents for it. And that's why, turns out. So something else for publishers to be aware of.
Yeah, it's such an interesting little game that we're playing here with Amazon.
With any, I think it's just the publishing industry in general. The logistics of it, when you get into it, some people think, oh, I'll just write a book and I'll publish it. Yeah, it sounds easy, but when you're doing it yourself,
it is. It's really, really easy to write something and publish it on Amazon. It takes no effort whatsoever.
It's the distribution.
The hard part comes in with selling it and making people aware of it and selling it. That's the difficult part, isn't it?
Yeah, but with the new website and the samples that you can get now on the website, before on my older website, it was the same rachaelhardcastle.com. It was just an older design. The sample chapters of all my books weren't available, but now you can actually just log on and get literally any sample of any book at the click of a button. So I'm hoping that even though you can't get the first book perma-free, you can still read a section of it free anyway and see if you like it before you pay 99p. So I don't think I've lost that much by Amazon taking it upon themselves to charge for the book, but it's just funny how it works.
What motivated you to do this? What was the inspiring moment
to do which part?
Do all of this
republish?
extra work. Yeah, because this is not easy. I remember when we first started this a few months ago, it's been an arduous process getting to this point. And it sounds like you're comfortable. So, I guess that was my first company. You're comfortable with the way things worked out.
I am comfortable. It took a while. I think the whole point of me doing it was last year I decided I was happy with the way things were. And then it got to Christmas and I was thinking about New Year's resolutions and what I wanted to do and what I wanted from my business, more importantly.
What was your New Year's resolution? Because that's like your fame right there. That's where your popularity comes from with me.
To read a book a month.
What's that?
I wanted to read at least one book per month, because with everything that I have going on, one whole book a month is like an achievement for me. So I decided I was going to read a book a month, and I also decided that by the end of the year, I wanted to see my books in bookstores, which is a big dream for a year because it's only 12 months. It's not a lot, but at least to get the ball rolling to see my books on bookshelves. So that was my other New Year's resolution, which I'm hoping I'm going to achieve. If not, I think I'll still give myself a tick at the end of the year because I am working really hard to get that.
Yeah, so that's why all this started, as you were trying to check those boxes
It was a New Year's resolution, yeah.
Oh, interesting. And they've always been very successful for you as far as motivation.
Oh yeah, goals and setting goals for myself and setting little targets. If I don't do that, I don't do anything because I feel like I've not got the motivation. If I set my mind to it or if I have something to aim towards, I tend to feel a little bit more motivated to get there. So the fact that it's a New Year's resolution and I'm now 3 months into the year and there's quite a lot of progress, like the books are starting to, the creation of the books is done, the distribution's picking up, they're starting to be uploaded online, so bookstores can now order them in. It's just a matter of applying to those bookstores. I feel like I've kind of done quite a lot in 3 months, so just a matter of getting going and knowing what to do and when to do it and how long things take so you can plan for the next thing.
Are you putting on your customer service hat too and making phone calls to these bookstores and trying to get in touch with their distributors and all that good stuff, their buyers?
Well, I will be, yeah. At the moment, I can't. I'm waiting for Nielsen, which is the title editor. So when you have an ISBN number that you buy in the UK, you buy it through Nielsen. And they have like a title editor. So once you've bought the ISBN number, you can register those ISBNs with Nielsen. It takes about a week per ISBN number for it to show. And then you log into your account and you can update all the information. So everything that you want the bookstores to see when they go on to order copies of your books in. So any rewards it's got, any awards it's got, any endorsements, all that sort of stuff. You can put it all on and you can update what you want them to see. So I'm just waiting for the other. I've done Pandora, the other 2 books. I'm now waiting for Nielsen to upload those. So it's that bit that takes the time because it's like a week every time you do it.
Yeah.
So once that's uploaded and the information's up and everything's accurate and everything's available, it'll then be time to apply to the bookstores, and everybody's different. So Waterstones will be different to Barnes and Noble, will be different to Chapters, will be different to whatever else. So I'm just gonna, it's kind of like applying to an agent. Everybody wants something different in a different format.
Yeah.
So I'll have to make sure that when I send in my application for shelf space that I follow their rules.
This is Nielsen Holdings. Am I right about that? They're in New York too, if it is.
Nielsen. Do you know what? I don't actually know if they're Nielsen Holdings or it just says Nielsen when you log in. It's
like a blue
publishers
N?
and suppliers. Yeah, it's a blue N with a grey.
Like
yeah.
It's so annoying that there are so many gatekeepers out there trying to keep the riffraff out.
I know, but I think at the end of the day as well, if you can break through that and prove that you're worth it, then you're not the riffraff. You know, you've made it, then you've done it. So I think that's partially why I want to do it as well, because if I can get my books in bookstores, it goes to show that they are of a good quality, that people are reading them, that, you know, the hard work's been done and that the books deserve, that they're worthy of the shelf space. I think that's what I'm trying to prove by doing my own imprint and doing different covers and stuff.
Not only that, but Curious Cats could end up having, we talked about this in the past, I think on another origin or two, that you potentially would bring on other authors and have them be with you.
Potentially. Yeah, it's an option for further down the line. I think at the moment I'm just learning the ropes, just trying to get my own out there, learn how long things take, because it's completely different to just putting it up with CreateSpace, clicking publish, and that's that. They do everything for you. When you do your own ISBN numbers, it takes that little bit extra, and it's the bit extra that's new to me. I've never done that before. So once I've gone through this process and all 3 of my paperback books are up and running, and hopefully in bookshops, then I might consider looking at taking on some other authors as well. But if I don't know the ins and outs, I'm not going to expect the other authors to trust that Curious Cat Books can get their books out there. So it's up to me to do the work first.
How much investment have you put into this so far?
A lot. A lot. A lot, but it's worth it. It is worth it. And I know that it's going to come back. So nothing's free, and you've got to spend money to make money. So for those people out there that are a little bit worried about it, I'd just say if you really believe in it and it's something that you really want to do, maybe just invest a little bit to begin with. Don't try to do everything completely free of charge, because it's not going to come back. You need to spend a little bit to make a bit.
Have you always wanted to be a publisher, or was it always more geared to writing?
No, I didn't even want to always be an author. I only started wanting to seriously write at about 14, 15. And even then, it would
that's pretty young. That's when you start identifying what you want to do for the rest of your life. What did you want to do before you were? What did you want to do before you were a teenager?
Oh, everything. Everything kids want to do. I wanted to be a vet, a midwife, a hairdresser, a doctor, everything.
Yeah.
You change my mind every couple of weeks, just like kids do. But no, it was a writing class, and I got published in a poetry book, and I just thought, this is pretty cool. I'm in a book. Maybe I could have a whole book, write a whole story. So
and now you own a book publishing company.
And then it just spiraled out of control from there. So it's just one thing after another.
It's pretty cool though. I mean, like, my goal is to write stories. I don't care about anything else. That's basically all I want to do. I suck at everything else. I suck at the grammar too. I suck at, like, even the most intricate parts of what I want to do. I suck at it. But you have been so prolific in your career so far that now you are a publisher of books. I mean, yeah, they're just your books, but that doesn't mean it has to remain that way. And that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, books and products as well. So although the ISBN numbers don't apply for these are still like self-published ISBN numbers, and just more for convenience than anything, to be honest. I now produce planners. So Curious Cat Books is actually now producing and selling planning, like the big planners that you can buy, weekly views, to-do lists in them, notes pages, A to Zs for contacts, all that sort of good stuff. And so I'm actually now doing them as well. So I've got 3 of those different covers available. So not just books, other stuff. It's really fun.
And bookmarks and posters and t-shirts.
And pin badges and USB cards and USB wristbands. And
I mean, honestly, a lot of people, I've never even considered merch for anything that I've done. I'm very uncomfortable about publishing stuff independently or otherwise, for that matter. I'm not even sending any of my stuff to anybody except for magazines. But is it easy to get merch for your books? Because I see that's one of the processes. You get badges and bookmarks and blah blah blah.
It is easy. It can be expensive depending on who you go with and what sort of things you want. So if you're getting, for me, I use the basic 2.5 centimeter. Is it 2.5 centimeters? 25 millimeters. So yeah, 2.5 centimeters. Circular pin badges, which are the smallest ones and the most basic, but you can put any design on them. And when they come, they're actually really nice. They're in really good condition. They're made really well. They're nice and glossy and shiny. And for about 100 of those, I think it's about 30 quid in the UK. So it's actually not that expensive, really, if you're planning in advance for an event. And it's worth it because children like pin badges, they like bookmarks, they like free stuff that they can take away. And even if they don't buy from you on the day, if they've got something that's pretty cool that they're wearing on their bag or on their jacket or using in another book, it's your name's constantly in front of them, and they're always really reminded. Cool.
And you're giving a Curious Cat. I'm looking for your Twitter account.
Rachael Hardcastle. Just E-Rach. It's just my name.
You don't have Curious Cat Publications on Twitter yet?
No, I think Twitter's actually E.R. Hardcastle because of the length of my name.
Oh, I have your Twitter. I'm obviously a follower and a fan, but I'm looking for your publisher too, the Curious Cat Publishing. You need to make a Twitter account for them.
No, it's all me. It's me that runs the company. So I'm just doing it under the whole. I don't want to confuse people. I don't want them to have to find more than one account. I just want it to be quick and easy for people to find me. So that's why I'm keeping it the way it is. And I don't want to have to start and run another Twitter account that is effectively just me. So at the moment, it's just.
You don't want to spam stuff through your name, though, do you? I mean, if you're trying to sell merch, publication, and stuff like that, or contest or something, you don't want to spend it through your personal Twitter account, do you?
Well, I think until I take on any other authors, all the merchandise is related to books that I've produced. It's all Rachael Hardcastle stuff. It's like J.K. Rowling produces the books, but then if you're searching for a T-shirt, it's all J.K. Rowling's merchandise still because it's her books, Yeah. So unless I take on any other authors, in which case the merchandise won't be mine, it'll be everybody's, all the authors that I publish, then there's no point because it's still my books. It's still related to me. Everything that they're buying is still related to Pandora or Noah or one of the other books that I've written. So I think until that happens, I'm not worrying about it too much. And then when that does happen, obviously it would make better sense to have a publishing Twitter rather than an author Twitter.
Later on down the road. I mean, obviously you've got a year, 9 months left. Get your goal in place. Is that the only one that you have this year, is publishing in bookstores?
At the moment, my goal is to get the 3 books that I had in to bookstores somehow. Even if it's just one book in 2 different stores, it's still an achievement. You know, it's just for them to trust me enough and to think that the quality is good enough to be in the bookstores. That's kind of my goal. I also want to rewrite, I should say, because the manuscript's already written, but the next 4 ebooks and the paperback for the next Pandora book. That's my next goal. And then to do some more work in schools. But these are all things that will come throughout the year as and when they come, when I'm required, and when I've got the time. I think the main goal at the moment, certainly for the first sort of third of the year, is to get these books redone and into stores. That's definitely my aim.
Yeah. I mean, other than bringing a bag of your books into the store and putting them on the shelves yourself, right?
Yeah, but with Waterstones, you can't apply to each individual store. You've got to apply to Waterstones in general. So
yeah.
I do a lot of work in my community. I do a lot of work in Bradford. A lot of people in Bradford know, especially the children, because I work in schools sometimes. So more children in Bradford know Rachael Hardcastle than children in London, for example. So I'm not really sure how the logistics of getting books into Waterstones would work, but to get West Yorkshire Waterstones to stock the books would make more sense, because that's where I live. So I'm just wondering how it all works, but I've not quite got that far yet. That's the step kind of ahead of where I am.
It's fascinating watching you work. Another part of your career that's really fascinating to me is how much you're actually involved locally in your town, meeting the Lord Mayor and working with children, and just curious how that went with the children this last time.
I went back into the school that I worked with last time. We produced the Children of War books last time, and they invited me back in. They loved the books so much last time that they wanted to work with me again. So I went back in.
So just to go back, you actually had them write a story, and then you published the book for them, the individual story, into a book format, and you gave it to them.
Yeah. At
first, sold it to them?
At first the books themselves were included. So they got there were 2 different classes. So they had 1 book per class, and they got a free book per class for their school library. And then because they loved the book so much and they wanted obviously to take one home and show their mums and dads, they requested if they could order them. So I just charged them what the cost of the book was to print it and get it here. And then they all placed their individual orders, and we did it that way. So they all have their own. Obviously, they're not available online or anything like that. They were only for the people involved. But they loved them so much that the school wanted me back again.
Awesome.
So this time, the books are actually on the way to me. The first 2 books for their library are on the way. They were dispatched earlier last week. So that's exciting. But they wanted to do Viking ghost stories this time. So they were learning about Vikings in history.
That's awesome.
And they were writing ghost stories in English. So they wanted to combine the 2 topics and write some kind of scary historical fiction. So we had a meeting and kind of came up with the idea that we wanted them to pretend that they were on like a school trip. And they decided to sneak out at night when the teachers were asleep. And they stumbled across, whether it was with their friends or on their own or whatever, that was up to the children to come up with their own story. But the whole idea was that they then stumbled across a Viking burial ground, and it came to life around them, and they had to survive the night and write about what happened on the night, and then tell the teachers and get the teachers to believe them. And that was the whole idea. So they each wrote a story and submitted them to me, and I put the books together and designed the covers and did it that way. So I just do it through CreateSpace, the way that I used to do it with my other books before my imprint, and send them 2 copies. And if they like them and they all want to buy their own copy, then they can do it, and we'll just do the exact same as we did last time.
That's great. So you had a writing prompt. You went in there, gave them the writing prompt, and said, write your story.
Yeah, the teachers generally tell me what they're learning. So last year they were doing World War II, I think it was. And they wanted to write some World War II stories, to get them to merge what they were learning in history with what they were doing in English. So they give me the topic, and I come up with the activity and try and get them to write a specific story around that, with the aim of writing to become authors. But it was harder last year, I think, because we weren't really sure what we wanted to do with the whole idea of war. We didn't want them to imagine they were in the war, really. We wanted them to imagine that they were trying to comfort the children in the bomb shelters. So they were maybe their little sister or a friend, or there were children in the bomb shelter with them, and to comfort them, they were telling them stories. So they could tell them any story they wanted. It could be as creative as they wanted, but they had to explain that they were in a bomb shelter and that that's what they were doing. So we managed to tie in the war aspect there as well. So it's sometimes really difficult to figure out how to do it, but the school gives me the theme, and then I just come up with the activity and the prompt, really.
It's interesting. When are you going back?
I'm planned to go in. I don't know if I can give this, because if any of them listen, I don't know whether the school want it to be a surprise. When the books arrive, there's a date this month that we have planned for me to pop in and just present them. And then they will be telling me how many they want to order, possibly a week after that, and I'll be getting them in. So hopefully by the end of next month, they'll all have their own copies of the books, and they'll be chuffed, and we can carry on and do whatever else they want me to do. But yeah, it'll be probably about 2 weeks before the children see the books, just because delivery takes quite a long time.
And this got you attention by the Lord Mayor.
Yeah.
Working with the children.
Yeah, I actually invited him to my book signing, my December book signing for Noah Finn. I did some readings at Keighley, and he came to witness.
Did he read Noah Finn?
He's got a copy, yeah.
Did he read it?
Witnessed. I don't know.
Questions? Did you nail him down? Lord Mayor, what happened on page 12?
No, he's a very busy man. But no, he came and witnessed my reading. So he's definitely read the first chapter because I read it to him. So he's read that, and I then gave him a copy as a thank you for attending, and he invited me and my family to go for a meeting and offered to sort of give me some advice and some help, if I wanted to ask him some business questions and stuff like that. So it was really, really nice, and I just picked his brain a little bit, and it went from there, really. So I can't say much else about the progress of that until it's happened, but I did get a contact, and I am progressing some other bits and bobs. So hopefully next time we have an Origins. If we have an Origins, I'll have more to tell you, but I can't really tell you anymore at the moment. If and when.
when. Man, that's so interesting. What did you pick his brain about? I mean, I guess politics and writing in terms of marketing are very similar. I mean, he's out there trying to get votes, and you're out there trying to get readers. I mean, it's basically
he's a really good businessman, and he's great with the community as well. He's got a way of talking to people, and the way he is around people, and the way he's in the community. So it was more just asking him about just business tips, really, and asking him about upcoming events, and just telling him about what I do, and he talked about what he does and what his job involves. And it was just really kind of more of a friendly meeting than it was a business meeting, because he was kind enough to invite us to go and see City Hall and spend an hour with him. But yeah, I got to pick his brains about some business stuff, and it was really nice. He answered every question and was really friendly and shook my hand, and we got a photo, and it was brilliant.
Who's us?
Myself and my parents.
Oh, interesting. I mean, not everybody gets an invitation like that. And not everybody gets up and does public readings either. And
it's terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I mean, I know certain aspects of who you are, and that one part probably is so hard to get past. And I've heard actually people with anxiety have an easier time of doing things that they find hard because they're always confronted with the anxiety itself.
I'm laughing because that's just not the case.
It's not what you do it though. That's the thing. You're not finding a dark corner underneath your bed to hide in. You're facing it. You're turning your face to it, and you're taking the punches. You're getting up in front of those people, and you're reading.
I do it because I have to do it. Because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't progress. And a lack of progress for me is an issue. I like to be constantly moving forward, and I need to do it. I need to get out of my shell a little bit more. The public need to see that I'm confident and that I'm friendly and that I can read my own books. If I can't read my own books, there's no point. If I ever have a big book signing, or if in the future, I'm at Waterstones and I have to invite some people to listen to a reading and I can't read in public, it's a bit pointless. So I need to be able to read my own stories, and I need to be able to read them well. So
We have
it
a
was just,
mutual acquaintance by the name of Nancy Quinn, and she says
yeah,
she does Barnes and Noble book signings occasionally, and she's obviously not going in there with millions of people waiting in line outside, begging to get at her with a pen. She has to drag people into her booth and say, "Hey, would you like to meet me? Here's my book, buy it, and I'll sign it for you."
yeah.
It's it takes a
It
lot. I mean, do
takes,
you honestly think that you have a shell left at all? I mean, you're really beating it down to a thin thing, aren't you?
it's everything that I do in relation to my books is scary, because even though I've done interviews loads of times, like I've been and done radio interviews, and I've been and done proper in studio radio interviews. I've done that at 2 different radio stations locally, and I've done it several times. So you'd think that by now I'd be comfortable, but it's because you don't know how the interview is going to go. You don't know who it is that's going to interview you, if it's somebody different, what questions they've got for you. It differs every time. So I think it's always scary, because you're talking about your own products and you and your business, and you've got to look good, and you've got to present it well, and it's got to be professional, but it's also got to be friendly and inviting. And I think, I don't know, it can be very overwhelming. So
Putting yourself in a public space, yeah, I would imagine.
yeah, so everything you do, I think it is scary. But if you weren't a little bit nervous every time you went, I think there'd be something wrong. If you just pitched up and you were not nervous at all, I think the confidence, you might have a little bit too much confidence. I don't think I could ever do that. I think the nerves, be them good or bad, are always present with me when I do something.
I mean, it's nice checking back in with you like this. I think we've done 3 Origins and then a handful of Mirages, which obviously I love getting you on that show because we could just chit chat about authors and writing and what have you. And it's just like more of a free ranging conversation. But
Yeah.
I love getting you on Origins and checking in with you as far as your career, because it's just really amazing to watch you work towards the end goal, which is what? Getting readers or being successful. And I guess they both go hand in hand in a way.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I think it's helpful for other people to see it as well and hear it, because I'm not the only person that goes through this. I'm not the only person that's trying to use their own ISBN numbers and getting bookstores. So if
where'd you get the idea at?
Where did I get the what? Sorry.
The idea? Where did
The
you come up
idea
with this idea to do
for
what you're doing, to get your own ISBNs, to force your way into the bookstores, the big chains in England?
just progress, really. I think since I decided I wanted to be an author, the dream has always been that I go into Waterstones and my book's there. That it's on the shelf, it's next to some of these top authors. And it was just kind of a dream of mine to have my books in Waterstones. And I settled a little bit last year thinking that what I had with the books that I had out was enough. And then when I did sit down and think about my New Year's resolutions, I realised that I don't think it is, and I do want to see my books in bookstores. And I knew it would take a lot of work and a lot of time, but it's something to work towards, and it's something that I can be proud of if it happens. And if to be honest, if it doesn't happen, I'm still proud of how far I've got. And talking about it and sharing the whole experience, good and bad, with everybody just helps other people, doesn't it? So,
I mean, right now, UK, right? But later on, everywhere else. It's not just going to stop there. Barnes & Nobles is here too. Are you going to potentially pursue this on an international level as well?
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know of any Barnes and Nobles that exist in the UK, to be honest. I think they maybe used to, but I don't know if they do still. I think they're mostly
Oh, is
US.
Barnes & Nobles and Waterstone the same thing?
No, Waterstones is different.
Oh, so you mentioned Barnes & Nobles, as in that's your international pursuit. You're trying to get them into the United States. Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah, UK and US, hopefully.
Are they? What's in Australia?
I don't know. I think is Chapters Canada. Is that Canadian Chapters? I'm not sure. Chapters would be a good one, and any other big chain stores that potentially will take me. But it makes more sense for me to be in Waterstones at the moment because it's UK based mostly.
Yeah, you can go there, do the book signings, be involved.
Yeah, I've got one local. I've got one literally on my doorstep. There's one in Leeds. There's probably one in Manchester. All the big cities have Waterstones. All the big shopping centres have one, maybe 2. I know that Meadowhall in Sheffield has 2 Waterstones. So it makes sense for me to be hitting them first and then expanding if all works out well.
So, I mean, how do you avoid getting discouraged by lack of sales or reviews or movement forward?
I think
Think it's a special skill that you have?
no, I think it's just patience. I think it's a lot of patience. It is frustrating, and you can kind of sometimes feel a bit, why am I bothering? But if you don't bother and you don't put in the work now, you can't expect any reviews and any purchases to come in. You've got to do the hard work first. And I think people recognize hard work, and eventually curiosity gets the better of people as well. So if your name's in front of that person quite often on social media, or if they've heard your name flitting about in schools or in bookstores or in the city or wherever, I think after a while, curiosity does get the better of you, and you kind of think, maybe I should just read one of these books and see what people are talking about. So hopefully that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get myself known in the community, work with any events that will take me, anybody that wants to host an event for me, or any sort of festivals and stuff I can be involved with, just to meet people, say hi, give them a card with my name on it or a bookmark or some kind of free goodies, so they can take them home and have my name in their household. And hopefully curiosity will get the better of them and they'll take a chance and then hopefully enjoy it. So
Hopefully, well, enjoy it. That's definitely something that we want, isn't it? Give a gift of a great book. So in terms of your marketing endeavors, has it been solely what you've been pursuing in 2018, or have you been looking into other ways to find readers as well?
Well, working with schools is a big one for me because I really enjoy it, and I think the kids enjoy having a visitor in, because it beats sitting and doing maths, doesn't it? So having somebody in is always exciting. I remember when I was in school and we'd have a visitor in for whatever reason, whether it was history or team building or anything, like a speaker. It was always a nice change, and I always remembered the events because it was different. So I enjoy going in, and I think they enjoy my visits, and they certainly seem to enjoy being authors. So the schools are a big thing for me. And I find that I had a book signing about 2 weeks ago now. It was on a Sunday at the Interlude Cafe, which is local. And a couple of them actually popped by to say hi and to buy a book from me because they'd been telling the parents how much they enjoyed my visit. So I think that's a way to find readers, if you can get out in the community. Even if it's not schools, if you're just doing workshops with local people, that's a good way to do it.
Do you think it would be as easy for you if you lived in London, say, or another big city like Amsterdam? I don't know, Amsterdam's a big city compared to London, but if you lived in New York, do you think you would do the same thing, or do you think that you'd be surrounded by a bunch of authors that are trying to do the same thing and just butting heads with people? Do you think it's easier to be where you are as opposed to someplace bigger? I guess is my question.
Well, I don't know, actually. That's an interesting point. Maybe a little bit harder, yeah, because I think in London, there'd probably be a lot more people in my position trying to do what I'm doing. But I
And
think
you're kind of competing with people who are already established by decades, famous people that are published authors doing the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah, but I think it wouldn't stop me. I'd still try. But it might be a little bit harder to do something like that when you live in a bigger city, certainly. But just because there's more people, so it would make more sense for it to be harder. But it wouldn't stop me. I'd still do it. I'd still at least try.
It's interesting. What about forming relationships with authors in your area?
I have met a couple of authors in my area. My friend's an author. I have a couple of other local authors that I've kind of helped out and that I'll be meeting soon. And I met another author through a radio show that I went on. There was two of us, so we had a chat. And just, yeah, I do know a couple of authors locally, but not as many as I'd perhaps like to. But I just don't have the time at the moment to attend writing groups and get-togethers like that. So I'm probably my own worst enemy when it comes to meeting people locally. But I meet them other ways. I meet them at events. I meet them through schools. So I do meet people. It's just I don't attend like writing groups.
I checked out your website. It's like the cover that you did for Aeon is really, really stunning. I like it a lot.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, it's had quite a lot of good feedback. I'm pleased because I had a couple of issues with the Aeon cover that I didn't have with the others. So the way it's turned out, I'm pleased. Yes.
Wow, that's really just an interesting image with the woman, and it looks like either water or ice splashing around her.
Yeah, it's intended to look cold because
Yeah.
the surroundings in the story are snow and ice, and cold temperatures. So that's the whole intended scene. But I'm glad that you like it. I've had some really good feedback, but like I said, it was quite a hard one to put together just because of the issues that I encountered when trying to upload it to Ingram Spark, and trying to export it and stuff like that, because the specifications are just so awkward. But I think it was worth
This
it.
is your art though, right? You created this.
No,
Oh, no way. You
no,
purchased it?
I put the cover together, but the image is actually under the CCO license. It's actually a free image. I just tweaked it and added bits and.
Oh, no, that's what I was asking. You made this image. You put these elements together to create this cover.
Oh, I created the cover. I put the elements of the cover together, but the actual female image was a stock image that I used. And then obviously I applied like filters and tweaked it and put it in Photoshop and did all that sort of stuff with it. But no, the image itself was like that. And then I applied extras and stuff to it. And then added the text and the logo and the information on the back and the ISBN and all that.
And what's going on with your podcast right now? So I'm looking at your website going, where's your podcast?
The podcast isn't yet up on the website. It will be soon. It's the same weekly. I had a cancellation last week, so last week's episode didn't go ahead as planned. But this week's is planned. I have, I believe, Katie Masters on, who was my very first ever interview for the White Room. She was episode 1, season 1, so she's coming back on.
How many seasons have you had so far?
2. I'm running the second season at the moment, but there was about like 30 for the first season, and I think I'm on like 15 or something for this one. So
okay,
it's quite a lot. Yeah, and it's weekly still, 30 minutes live on the show. So yeah, just running as normal. It's just not up on the website yet.
When are you going to
start? To my YouTube channel.
Is it on YouTube? It is on YouTube though.
Yeah, there's a link to my YouTube channel at the bottom of the website and the bar at the bottom. So you can find it pretty much easily enough. There's just no spread on the website about the podcast, like no videos or anything, but you can find it pretty easy.
Ooh, Kristen Martin got you 142 views.
Yeah, Kristen's brilliant. She's really, really nice. She's been on twice. I had her on last year, and she came back on this year to tell us about her new book. And she's got some podcasts and webinars and stuff going on and training programs and things. So I got her on to talk about all of that. It was really interesting. She's brilliant. It's Kristen.
I remember last time we talked, you were doing webinars and training programs and things of that nature. Are you still pursuing that?
The free marketing webinar is still available for people to watch. It's just on my YouTube channel. And the marketing workbook that goes with it does pretty well. So people seem to like having the extra, to buy the extra sort of ebook PDF download and work to learn more themselves. So that seems to be doing okay. At the moment, I haven't done any other paid programs for people to join, like training programs. I've just done the one webinar, but it is something that once these books are out of the way and I can relax a little bit, I think I'll be getting into stuff like that as well. Just to
in my experience, everybody knows everything on the internet, so they don't need to be taught anything. They're always the smartest people, and they know all the details, and they don't need to be taught anything.
I think I wouldn't really be trying to teach people something specific. It would just be more sharing the way that I've done things and the way that it worked for me, which is exactly what I did with the marketing webinar. They're not 100% guaranteed for everybody, but they worked for me. And so they're the things that I shared. They're the top 10 tips that I gave. So if I were to do more webinars, it would be based on what I've learned doing what I do. And a little bit like my coaching and consultation sessions that I offer people. It'll be like that, but it'd be a recorded session that everybody would have access to.
Think out your comfort zone, right? Think out of your comfort zone. Think of things that'll make you uncomfortable, right? I mean, in terms of being successful, that's what it is, isn't it? Try to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah, just be a little bit braver. Add some extra strings to the bow. If you're a writer and you just produce books, then you're relying on one source of income, which is the book. If you then produce an ebook, you've got a second source of income. If you then decide you're going to do web design, that's the third source. So if for some reason you decide to stop writing, you can still fall back on the web design. So the more things you've got, the more strings to your bow. If one or two of them break, it doesn't matter that much. Or if you have to let one or two of them go, if you lose interest or it's not making you money or whatever. So I think that's what I'm trying to do as well. I'm just trying to find other things that I enjoy doing that I'm good at, that I can help other people with. So
Yeah.
I
I
think
think that's the coolest thing about you is you're very altruistic. You're very people oriented. So I mean, I think we've been talking about 54 minutes or so, and I really appreciate you coming back on. I know we had some scheduling issues today with my inability to read the time and all that good stuff. Seriously, we had a horrible snowstorm, and it is still packed. There's like feet of snow on the side of the roads and trees down all over the place, and people are very angry, which is not nice.
We had that last week. We were hit by, I think they were referring to it as the beast from the east. They were referring last week with the snowstorm, and it was a couple of days and it was really bad. There were some accidents and roads closed and schools closed and all that stuff. And then it rained one day and just washed it away. And then that was sort of it. I think we had one extra day where it came down, but by the end of the day, it was just slush. So we're over it now.
It's going to rain tonight and snow tonight. We're getting another 6 inches. I'm like, what the name of God is going on here? This is horrible. I'm curious though. You know, I always ask the same questions to finish up the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, have you changed your mind as to the advice that you would give people? I mean, I know we already talked about being, you know, get out of your comfort zone, do things not just for yourself, but try to help other people along as well. But have you added anything to those mottos?
No, I think other than perhaps setting the goals a little bit higher than what you think you can do. So if you think that you can publish a book, great. But can you publish a book and get it in a bookstore? That'd be an interesting aspect. That'd be something really cool to do. So I think now that I have my own publishing company, I think I would just add to maybe set your sights a little bit higher. So if you want to sell 100 books, aim for 200, and you'll surprise yourself because you've got that motivation and you've got that curiosity to do well. So I think that's the only thing I'd add, is to just be a little bit braver, maybe. But no, all the other things still apply. I'm still a big believer in community and helping people and free stuff and free books and a decent website and all the stuff that I've talked about previously.
It's pretty cool. And what are you reading right now?
I am reading, you're going to laugh, but I'm reading Felix the Huddersfield Station Cat. It's a mouthful. But it's a train station in West Yorkshire where there's a little cat that lives there, and she kind of is the pest controller. And it's an autobiography about autobiography from the people that work there, about how they got the cat and how they've got successful and sort of made her famous. So it's just a book that I picked up that I was interested in because it was local and it's actually pretty good. So
does she do a good job as a pest controller?
She does a very good job. I'm about a quarter of the way in. I have actually seen her, and I was on a train with some friends going to a hen party about 2 years ago. And we pulled into the station, and I was talking to my friends saying, I'm sure this is the station where Felix is, the black and white cat. And they were all looking at me blankly as if to say she's gone loopy. And then the cat came out of one of the offices and wandered across, and I just screamed at the top of my voice, oh my God, she's there. And the whole carriage, the whole carriage turned and glared at me as if to say, this mental woman that's on the train. And my friends kind of dipped their heads, embarrassed. Famous, I was so excited about this famous cat. So when I heard that a book had been released, I had to buy it. But it's been on my shelf for ages, and I've just not got around to reading it. But I finished Lindsay Sterling's book, who's the violinist, last month, and really enjoyed it. So I fancied kind of like another autobiography book. So that's why I picked that one up, and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, interesting. We need some pest controllers in our subways badly. I think we have a rat for every single person that lives in this area. Yeah. It's horrible. When my wife and I were dating, we went to a place called 5 Points, which is in Queens. Is just this giant white building that people had graffitied all over with some amazing art on it. But she saw a cat munching on a rat, and she went over to pet it. It's like, woman, you need to wear your glasses.
No.
Vanity is not good for you. But anyway, we need some cats in the subway.
It's more for pigeons than it is rats, I think. There's birds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's the birds that she chases away more than rats, but good for everything, I guess. Yeah, it's it's a really cute book, and it's really entertaining to read, and it's nice. It's a happy sort of story. It's something cheerful, so that's why I like it.
Do you have a big rat problem in England?
If we do, I don't want to know about it.
That's probably better, right? I mean, if
probably
you knew,
in
you
the
would know.
cities.
In the cities.
In the cities probably. Maybe not so
Yorkshire.
much. Hopefully, well, I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah,
I'd rather not know.
I don't like the idea of rats. I'll be sitting here writing, and I'll hear something fall, and I'll think, I'll pretend I didn't hear that and go back to writing. Where can we find you on the World Wide Web?
Everywhere. I'm all over, like a plague. Rachaelhardcastle.com.
There's nothing more positive than a plague. What's good that spreads really fast? Nothing, is it? A rumor? Nope, that's not
Christmas cheer.
Christmas cheer does not spread very. And I hate Christmas cheer. I will just be in a bad mood if somebody tries to spread Christmas cheer on me.
Bah, humbug. But no, I am, honestly, I am everywhere. Rachaelhardcastle.com is my website. Rachael spelled Rachael because I'm weird. I have Twitter, but I'm Hardcastle on Twitter because my name's too long for the handle. And then Facebook and Instagram, I'm Rachael Hardcastle. And then YouTube, I think Rachael Hardcastle again. If you just search that, you should find, or the White Room, you can search the White Room interviews and that'll come up as well.
Your website's basically the hub of all of your
you go to my website, you can find pretty much anything you need from there.
Awesome conversation. As usual, you have an abundance of information, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. It's been great.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.